Cheers to Michael B. Jordan, and cheers to this trilogy that I just did my homework on. I actually never watched Creed 1 or 2, and I've only seen the original Rocky, and even then, I watched that like my sophomore year of high school, so I was pretty late to this whole Rocky game. And I gotta say, being a young guy who has only watched the original, and now this new trilogy, literally the day before yesterday, before I watched Creed 3, I gotta say, I really dug Creed 1 and 2. Creed 1, I think, was a really great grounded take on how you should do a legacy sequel. It really feels like an appropriate step in the right direction to evolve a new character while bringing in characters of old and characters that are familiar, but still paying respect and homage to the character of Rocky. That movie showed a solid blueprint of what I think legacy sequels should be like. Now then we have Creed 2, steps it up, and it does what a sequel should do. It raises the stakes, it deepens the mythology of the characters, and it also really does a good job at making the stakes feel higher in the sense that Adonis Creed is now growing up and he has to deal with his own familial issues, like becoming a father himself. I like seeing that angle, especially in Creed 2. I brought a lot of humanity and weight to Michael B. Jordan's performance, to even step it up above Creed 1. While I still think Creed 1 is my favorite of the trilogy, I still really dug Creed 2. So then, naturally, after that, I was really excited for Creed 3, and here we are, Creed 3. This time it is actually directed by Michael B. Jordan as well. So not only is he starring in this movie, but he is directing it. Definitely tell he puts his stamp on this movie, and he actually wants to give it his own flavor and personality that differentiates it from Creed 1 and 2. I thought Creed 2 did a good job at keeping and sustaining that realistic, grounded feel that Ryan Coogler created, while also kind of evolving the fight scenes. The boxing matches themselves kind of pale to comparison to Ryan Coogler and the first film's handling of that. However, they weren't disappointing by any means, just different. And as for Creed 3, you can definitely feel the difference in the new energy in the room from Michael B. Jordan. Starting off with the character work here, I think this is a really great step to take the character of Adonis Creed. He does a fantastic performance in this, playing Adonis at the height of his career. He's finally, he's enjoying the life he's made for himself. He's married happily, he has a child who is a few years older now, and he's just living his life as a father and trying to not fight and really lead the new generation of fighters in. And I really enjoyed seeing that as the starting off point for this film, because then that brings us to the challenge of Jonathan Majors as the antagonist, and he is easily, hands down, the best villain in this trilogy by far. Loved Victor Drago, I love the layers with him. However, I feel like we got more time and we spent some more time with Jonathan Majors in this film, and I do think that leads to his development overall in the movie. This is what I was talking about when I wanted a Jonathan Majors movie where he's the antagonist, but the film also delivers too. What I love about this movie in particular is how it treats the scenario. It's not so black and white. All of these Creed movies have done this. Creed 3 continues the tradition of blurring the lines and making the characters gray. I don't think the scenario that causes Jonathan Majors to have his motivation in this movie is one-sided, and I think the film's writing does a really good job at presenting it as such. I genuinely could see where both these dudes were coming from by the third act, while Jonathan Majors as a character, I think, takes things a step too far, and that's really his character flaw. You get the motivation between both of them. You feel like they've both been slighted by the world. It's just Adonis chose a healthier way of dealing with that compared to his friend, and I like seeing that explored in this movie and added a whole nother layer to it that I thought really propelled the plot and characters forward through a lot of growth. All three of these Creed movies in general have really great pacing, but it's even noticeable here where it doesn't waste any time. It gets straight to the point, yet it never feels rushed. It always feels like every scene is building properly. You always have enough time to breathe with the characters. And the film never loses sight of that priority. And that's something that could easily been done. This film could have easily gone for the generic, hey, it's the third Creed movie. It's a legacy sequel franchise. Let's just have some boxing go down. Play some 80s music. Throw back to the 80s. Have some fun. That's all they really need. No, this movie makes a genuine attempt and statement to continue the story and progress characters forward and make the drama and their growth the point of the movie. That's always been the point of Rocky, but I'm glad this many years later we're still holding on to that and treating that as a priority. Tessa Thompson is brilliant. I've loved her in every single Creed movie. The romance between Adonis and Bianca is so beautiful and so well realized from minute one of their screen time in Creed 1 to now. Their entire relationship feels so fleshed out and so real. And it feels like they're genuine rocks for each other. And there are scenes in particular, especially in this one, where the history of their relationship is really felt. The great direction of Michael B. Jordan, the fantastic acting of both him and Tessa Thompson. We're able to still keep that charisma. Also, we've gotten the layers of history built up with their marriage. So you still see their natural conflicts with each other. And I like that. I like that this movie took a realistic approach to, I think, I've never been married, I wouldn't know, but problems don't just go away when you get married. So I like this movie actually still, had moments where it felt like Adonis and Bianca were learning stuff about each other. You really genuinely don't ever stop learning about the person you love, I don't think. So I like that this movie continues that tradition, and it feels really real in that way. The boxing itself, the boxing in this film steps it up from Creed 2 easily. I think the boxing in this and the boxing in Creed 1 are the perfect polar opposite executions of what they can be, as to where Creed 1 feels very grounded and in the moment, you're in the ring with these people. Creed 3 continues that feeling. Your fights still feel grounded, however. What I like about Michael B. Jordan's approach is that he takes more of a fantastical, for lack of a better word, approach to it, where the fights feel like you're seeing perspective. You're seeing the reflexes of the fighters in their point of view. For example, there's a moment where all the audience and everything around the two fighters are wiped away, and it's just those two locking fist for fist, punch for punch. And it feels just that much more personal, and it really adds to the depth of the fight going on. But I appreciate it because it never took me out of the realism and grounded nature of what the characters were going through. That could be really easily done, and that could have been an easy mistake to make. I really respect the balls on Michael B. Jordan to want to take that extra mile and add his own stamp and style to these fights, but he never lost sight of grounded nature and the realism between Adonis Creed and the person he is fighting in this scene. That goes for the fight scenes overall in this movie. The fight scenes are all able to feel fantastical and epic, while also still feeling grounded and real, which keeps you engaged and locked in with the characters, making for a very satisfying conclusion. Really, the only issue I had with Creed 3, there's a certain moment, a character beat, a scene that it's really emotional, it does hit. It just feels like it comes a little bit out of nowhere. It just threw me off at first, and I was like, oh, we're doing this scene now. It's still hitting me, and I'm still feeling it, it's just I didn't expect it to happen so quick. I'm curious if there was a scene cut, or if there was just like something edited out that maybe led into that moment. It's just a nitpick, because honestly, what is happening happens in life suddenly too. I'm trying to defend it while also being vague, but my point is, it was just a sudden scene I didn't expect to have in this movie, but it still hit me, so it's not really a big flaw. It didn't really ruin the movie for me. It was just those 2 seconds where I felt like, oh, that was jarring. I didn't expect to have this moment happen right now. Okay. All in all, that's really all I can think of in terms of my flaws for Creed 3. This trilogy as a whole is just really damn good. I loved Creed 1, like, a lot. I've already watched it twice. I literally watched Creed 2, then went and saw Creed 3, then came home and showed my mom and dad Creed 1. Because I so much I just love that first movie. And it kept up the tradition of being a legacy sequel franchise that creates and defines its own name while still respecting the series of the past. I know there are some issues and business problems and things going on between Sylvester Stallone and the producers of this film. Yes, it's very real, but honestly, I think the film does a good job at not focusing on that or making an appearance. Rocky Balboa's presence is missed in this movie at a point. To me, it's one of those things like I can fill it in my headcanon, like I'm sure he called him and talked to him. But logistics-wise, I get why he wasn't in this movie. It's a shame he wasn't, but the film as its own, as it stands, is still really good. Overall, I loved Creed 3. I thought it was great. I don't know if I like it more than Creed 1 or 2. I love the relationship between Rocky and Adonis, so I think that keeps Creed 1 and 2 a little bit of a leg up. This is still great. Jonathan Majors was excellent as the antagonist in this movie. Overall, I can keep talking about it. I loved Creed 3. Go check it out. I'm not even a sports guy, but this movie, I really liked it. Also, life update, I moved. I really love this movie. I've loved this franchise as a whole, or at least these 3. This trilogy was awesome, and I had a blast with it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all enjoy Creed 3 if you go out and see it. What did you think about it? Tell me what you thought down below. Like and subscribe if you like, and I'll see you next time.